In Movies and Money, our movie man Erik Childress is on the scene at the Toronto Film Festival. Have you heard about any great deals so far?
Well, we just had one big deal go through a couple days ago. Netflix paid $11 million for the rights to Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, Woman of the Hour. It's based on the true story of a serial killer in the 1970s who actually appeared on television's The Dating Game. Now, Kendrick also stars as the aspiring actress at the center of that particular episode, and this is a very solid debut from Kendrick behind the camera, making a great follow-up to last year's Toronto premiere, Alice Darling, both films about the emotional and physical abuse that women face at the hands of men. And while there is some dark humor at the center of this film, Kendrick never shies away from the inherent tension and violence inflicted by this man, played in a really chilling performance by Daniel Zovato. No release date has been set yet for the film, but on the same plane, I also saw Kitty Green's The Royal Hotel with Julia Garner and Jessica Henwick, also in a true story of two women on holiday who take a job at an outback Australian bar and the misogyny and terror that they experience there. This film comes out from Neon on October 6th, and I recommend keeping an eye out for that as well.
Impressively, you have seen more than 20 films while in Toronto. Are there any films that studios should be rallying around to buy?
There are definitely a few, Angie. One of them is the new film from Richard Linklater called Hitman, which stars Glenn Powell as a teacher who helps out the police by pretending to be a contract killer and entrapping people. Now, then he falls for a woman that he talks out of the deed and has to keep the relationship a secret. This is a terrific, really funny movie that will hopefully be remembered as the moment where Powell finally breaks through as the leading man he clearly is. A truly terrific movie. Then there is also His Three Daughters from Azazel Jacobs, starring Carrie Coon, Natasha Lyonne, and Elizabeth Olsen, as sisters gather together to wait out the final days of their dying father. The film consists of three of the most stellar performances I've seen all year, and this will touch hearts and your tear ducts, especially if you have had to live through a similar experience.
You do have a preview of a couple of films that will be coming out this year.
Dream Scenario is a film with Nicolas Cage as a mild-mannered professor who suddenly finds himself on the mind of random people across the country, in their dreams specifically, and doing basically nothing in them. Cage does a lot of questionable projects, but every once in a while finds one that genuinely clicks, and this is among his best performances. A really funny, trippy exploration of how sudden celebrity can be torn down just as quickly, and the only time to process either is in the usually hazardous effect it has on your life. Alexander Payne, the director of Elections, Sideways, and Nebraska, has a new film called The Holdovers. It is a 1970 set film with Paul Giamatti as a boarding school professor left behind to babysit the students unable to go home for Christmas. It is also a very funny and moving story about loneliness and finding oneself that should also be a player during this year's awards season. And of course, you want to hear all about Dumb Money.
Yes, we do, Erik. Here's a quick clip.
Yo, what up, everybody? Roy and Kitty here. I'm gonna pick a stock and talk about why I think it's interesting, and that stock is GameStop.
I love this guy.
Fair warning, there's plenty of use of a naughty word in the film, as our editor was working around that word quite frequently. What's your review, Erik?
Now, this is the feature version of the GameStop Wall Street bets phenomenon, where amateur traders buck the system and send hedge fund managers reeling from the chaos. A terrific cast takes us through the paces of how this came about, and it is a thoroughly entertaining look at how the game can be rigged against those without the necessary scratch to compete with the 1%. It's a crowd pleaser and probably a crowd infuriator as well. Look for that in limited release soon, and for it to go wider in October.
I plan to see it this weekend. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Erik. Have a great time in Toronto.
Thank you, Angie.
Go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.